What's going on in Hot Atlanta? Live from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P Entertainment and K.L.P Studios. It's K.L.P Aftermath Morning with your host, K.L.P Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform. Go.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Boy, howdy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting podcast here today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the K.L.P Aftermath podcast. We hope that y'all are ready for another exciting show here today. I am super excited for this episode as well. Officially back here in the studio. Guys, if you guys tuned in from it yesterday, and we posted on media today as well, Bro Code Podcast. Me, Terry Lester, Jackson Smith. You guys don't want to miss it. It is an ever-growing podcast that's just been doing really good for us, right? I'm so glad that we're able to give you guys some content, give you guys a great podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about that show. That show is quite amazing. I genuinely enjoy doing that show because I'm able to get out of the other studio that's in here and go to our set studio and to perform a good podcast, so that way I can give you guys my sports take, my sports news, my sports ideas. So again, that's what the Bro Code Podcast is about, is a fully linked sports podcast on the network as well. Again, it's with me, Terry, and Jackson. That is a very fantastic show that we've been doing. Guys, you just got to listen to it. It's a really great show. We hope that y'all like it because that's not going anywhere. We've been doing our things, and we're going to continue doing this thing. So yeah, K.L.P Aftermath here today on a wonderful Tuesday. Like I say, I hope everybody have been healthy, blessful, highly favored. I do want to announce this real quick because before we get to the proceedings of the podcast. So between this show, Bro Code Podcast, and What Had Happened Was podcast, new episode of that's going to be coming tomorrow. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of house cleaning, house news, I guess. So we're going to give you 2 episodes of What Had Happened Was podcast. We got to bring that show back. Evelyn and I have been extremely busy, particularly this past weekend. Evelyn, she's been selling out she's in a new movie. So she's been going to theater, selling out those shows independently. I've been doing Battle of Atlanta this past weekend, so we couldn't get to our podcast last weekend. So we're going to give you guys a treat. We're going to double up on the podcast between tomorrow and Thursday, simply because I am wrapping things up. Yes, I'm excited. I got to say, I love y'all so much. I love our fan base. I've said it in multiple episodes before. Next week. I'm so excited. Next week, we're going to be shutting K.L.P Entertainment down for the week. I will be going on vacation. I'm going to Punta Cana for a week. The staff members of K.L.P Entertainment, our producers, our engineers, and everybody here, we're taking a time off. We're taking a week off. Next week, we won't be posting any forms of podcasting. No K.L.P Aftermath, no Bro Code, no First Minute, Pro Med podcast. None of that because we're going to be on vacation. Very excited. Guys, stay tuned for my social media because I will be posting next week about, vacation and the sights and sounds of vacation, but just no hard work, no schoolwork for me either, right? I'm really going on vacation next week. So just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, if you guys were looking forward to, something for podcasting next week, is going to be time off for us. I'm really happy about it. I'm ready for this time off for sure. It's going to be extraordinary. So that's what's going to end up happening for sure. Evelyn will be back here tomorrow in the studio for that as well. If you guys want to know how my experience with the Battle of Atlanta was, you got to watch a Bro Code podcast from yesterday. I went in, I talked about it. I don't want to dabble too much about it because I just talked about it last night, but like I say, Battle of Atlanta was amazing. It was a spectacle. It was a show. It was given UFC mixed in with WWE, mixed in with a nice event. Again, listen to Bro Code Podcast. I'll tell you guys how it was. Very tiresome weekend, right? It was a very tiresome weekend, but I am glad that I was a part of something spectacular like that. It was quite amazing for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys know, you know it's going to be one really rocking event. It's available on streaming, by the way, on YouTube and on my IMDb page as well. You guys can go check out my IMDb page if you guys want to know for that as well. So ecstatic for it. This week is an exciting week, T. You know, Juneteenth is around the corner. Very exciting for Juneteenth. You know, that is our holiday. That's something that we are celebrating. I might even close the studio on Friday, like a couple days before that, because of I want everybody to go out and celebrate Juneteenth. It is a holiday for us, by us. And what I mean by that, black people, it's going to be really amazing. Probably will go to the gym still. One thing that I've been doing, you guys probably going to see it on my social media later on today or earlier today because the show comes out tonight. I started to do something very different, right? I started to do something extremely different. So from Battle of Atlanta, I learned a lot of things about karate and martial arts and jiu-jitsu and taekwondo. I do think I want to learn that stuff eventually, probably not now because you got to pay for that stuff. You got to pay to go to those classes. You got to spend time, and that's money spent on that. But the one thing that you could do for free that I've started to do some research, and it's this thing called Tai Chi. Now I'm gonna sit here and say, guys, I'm not a super duper expert on Tai Chi, right? I'm not an expert yet. I tried it in the gym today. I was able to do my positions, my moves, got a little video content out of it too. Look swole. Guys, let me tell you. I'm going to be looking good next week in Punta Cana. I'm going to be looking so good in Punta Cana next week. So I was recording myself doing Tai Chi just to see my form and for social media. And I'm really proud that I'm able to look swoller than I've ever looked swole before, right? If you guys know, if you've seen me in 2015, right, T, because that's where we started our first podcast, the Lucas Chat podcast, way back in the day, I was huskier. I was heavier, right? And to see I was able to record myself now to really get it in, to really work out and really get it in, really work out. And, you know, I can tell that I'm starting to look better because I get a lot of stares at the gym. I really do. No lie, no shit talk, not a story that I'm telling. I do get a lot of stares from a lot of females at the gym, which is great. I like it. I like the enthusiasm of they're looking over and they're seeing what it is. Now, I've said this many podcast shows episodes before. I'm the goofy one when it comes down to podcasting. I don't like to just be so stiff when I work out. I'm loose. I'm lifting weights. I'm singing. I'm dancing. I'm rapping. I'm listening to my music. I am in my zone, and I am unapologetically not sorry for doing these things and being the goofball in the gym. I had it to where, and this happened the other day, I paid those two ladies, no, never mind. You know, I'm dancing, I'm being goofy, dancing like I'm in the club, you know, working out, and I heard laughter. Now, they could be laughing at me, they could be laughing at each other, but hey, laugh all you want, you're not getting to me. I'm just going to be out here and doing my thing and continue to live my best life. I've learned that when I get laughed at a lot, when I was a kid, I tell you this, when I was a kid or a little bit younger and I would get laughed at a lot, I used to feel embarrassed and sad and ashamed because people were picking on me, right? Nowadays, I don't mind that. Nowadays, if you're going to sit there and laugh at me, then hey, if you think I am funny, I am glad that I was able to please your day and be a comedian for you today and to bring a smile and laughter to your life. If you had to laugh at me because I'm dancing and getting crunk and doing my thing at the gym, I am glad I was able to give that to you. Right? Sorry, not sorry. Right? I love this. The gym is like my safe haven. It's always going to be my safe haven. Every day I go is my safe haven, right? It's allowing me to be myself. And I be myself in my house. I be myself here in the studio. I am unapologetically goofy and corny. And I like it, right? I like to be the weird kid, right? There's nothing wrong about being the weird kid in the gym or the weird guy in the gym. Not weird as in creepy, but just goofy, right? So, but I understand that I've started to, you know, of course, obviously going to the gym for years now, looking swole. I think looking part of that is just kind of it's a halfway battle because I did change my eating diet, right? I don't drink soda as much anymore. I drink soda and I cheated because I did drink soda this past weekend when I was doing Battle of Atlanta because it was a long day. And the first night, it was a setup night. I had a headache. I took some Advil and a Coca Cola. And let me tell you, that's like the best thing, too, guys. Coca Cola and Advil, right? Advil is the best medication for pain reliever and headaches. That's the only medicine I take. I don't take Tylenol anymore. I don't take ibuprofen. It's Advil for me. I think it just works. And you mix that with some soda, you're going to get it cured, right? After Battle of Atlanta, the setup, the Thursday setup day, that was the day where we didn't book a room. We had to go straight home after that. I was sitting in an hour half traffic because it was just traffic. It was all kinds of, boy, howdy, it was traffic from hell on Thursday. It was so much traffic. It was unbearable, right? But it was that. And then I had a headache. I was tired. And, I took the Advil, Coca Cola. I went straight to bed. And I got home at a decent time. I got home around 8 o'clock p.m. I went straight to bed. And next thing I knew, the next day is 11 a.m. I'm waking up, right? But I started to, and while I was going with this, is I changed my eating diet. I don't drink soda as much unless if I have a headache, I'm going to drink some soda. But I haven't had soda as much, lately. It's all water, hydration water. Let me tell you, Liquid IV. I go to whenever time I go to the grocery store, guys, I go and buy the Liquid IV because the Liquid IV just helps me so very much with hydration. It's just the supplement you can add to your water for double up your hydration. It works for me. I really do. I watch my iron and my B12, but sometimes when I need it, I need it. I take the gummies on occasion when I need it. And it's just been able to help me be more energized. And the reason why I take that too in hydration is important because I do think, and I'm open about my health stuff, I ain't no secret. I do think I've got a thyroid problem. I don't have an inflamed thyroid, but my thyroid does erupt sometimes. It does spark up sometimes, and it's just something that I have to fight with. Unfortunately, with thyroid, and what if you guys don't know, here's a medical tip. If you don't know what your thyroid is right here on your neck, right? It's like right here on your neck. And luckily and thankfully, it's not swollen, but it's just the thyroid effect that I have. I know, sorry, sis, hopefully this is not too much information. I think my sister has that same thing. And then I think my little brother has it too. My mom had it at one point with the thyroid problem. It's something that runs in the family. There's no cure for it. You can drink tea and hot supplements and try to mitigate it. But unfortunately, with thyroid, there's no cure for it. Thyroid also helps to, like, if you are working out, if you are working out and doing your thing. So for me, as I get more swole and more skinnier, which was great, right? Because at Battle of Atlanta, and I'll get to the topics of stories and conversations, right? I got reviews, but um, I ran into one of my old coworkers way back when I worked in hotel industry. I ran into a guy, his name is Craig, who used to work at the same hotel I worked at. And he worked at the Renaissance Waverly. Sorry, Greg, if you're watching the show, but he's one of the top managers there, and I ran into him. And he didn't recognize me at first. He was like, "Who is he?" And then he was like, "Oh, that's Kennedy." He was like, "Yeah, I didn't recognize you. You lost so much weight." I'm like, "Yeah." So where I'm going with the story is when you start to work out and you have a thyroid problem, I look more swoller and more skinnier, which I love. I'm not going back to fat Kennedy, right? People say you weren't fat Kennedy back in 2015. Yes, I was fat. I'm not going back to that. When you start to lose the weight a lot tremendously, like I have, your metabolism does burn quicker, right? So thyroid has something to do with like hot flashes, right? With the mixture of your metabolism burning so quickly, right? And when your metabolism burns really, really quickly, that's where it also kind of helps with the hot sensation because your antibodies are burning really, really quickly. And that's just it. That's what my doctor said. That's what's going on. It's like you're doing it. You're working out a whole heck of a lot, and you're pushing yourself, and you're getting swollen. Your body's changing. That's why I have those issues. Um, good. It's like good issues to have, T, but bad issues because I wish I didn't have a thyroid problem. because it does annoy me sometimes on occasion, but I'm not going to stop losing weight. The thing is, my doctor did say make sure I do take some time off. Like, don't go to the gym every day. Let your body rest and recover. So that's something that I'm learning to do now. My mom, believe it or not, she started to go back working out, and she's doing not an extreme workout quite just yet, but she's starting to get into her workouts. And then when we talked last, she told me that she's been hot. She's been hot, and she's been hungry, right? I've been hungry. I'm hungry now, right? She's been hungry, and I said, "Mom, that's a good sign because you are losing weight. You're burning metabolism faster now because you're starting to work out and be active, right?" So, all part of the territory. It's a good problem to have. It's just I wish I didn't have the thyroid problem. I really wish I didn't. So, um, where I was going with the story is I started to do after learning things at Battle of Atlanta and see how the folks at Battle of Atlanta do. I researched Tai Chi, and I did it at the gym today. And let me tell y'all something about Tai Chi, and we'll get to our WWE review because we watched Raw last night. We'll get to it. Tai Chi is really, really dope to do. I did it today, and I find myself more active, more limber, right? My basically Tai Chi is not just doing all kinds of motions, but it's like doing the motions and stretching your body to the very limits that your body has never been stretched before, right? So when you start to do that, I started to sweat. Like when I did Tai Chi, was sweating. Like it really got to me. One thing I like to do, some people like to not listen to music. I listen to Tai Chi type music. You can go to Spotify or Apple, type in Tai Chi music. There's like a playlist of Tai Chi music you can listen to practice that. Um, and I'm doing all these kind of positions as if I'm Karate Kid, right? But it's more like a stretch and it's meditation too. This Tai Chi to me, the way I've seen Tai Chi and did it, after my extreme workout, I meditate, right? That's a normal. So I'm adding Tai Chi to my meditation because that's technically what it is. It's like meditation meets karate, meets yoga. And that's what Tai Chi kind of is. And when I did it today, I'm stretching my legs. I'm stretching them to where I've never stretched my legs before, right? And fellas, let me tell you why. Not trying to get gross, but let me get gross. Tai Chi and stretching your legs and your hips and your body, guys, that's going to help you when you get active, sexually active towards somebody, right? You stretching your legs and your body to where it makes you feel good. But once you get down and dirty and you stretched and you can do all those positions, your partner gonna be like, "Ooh, where'd you learn that move from? Keep doing that. That feels great." Right? That's the way I see it. That's the way I do Tai Chi is just to kind of get more limber so I can do stretch and I can be able to move. Um, because I don't want to be stiffed, right? I don't want to be stiff. I don't want to have arthritis. I don't want to have any of those things where it's going to hinder me bone wise. And to stretch your skin, your muscles, and your bones in Tai Chi is going to help you. And I have read this study, and it's true. It's the common study, T, that when you do these stretches and it allows you to stay limber, it stays younger, like it keeps your body fresh and younger. And it's very important for me because I joke and Battle Atlanta with all the other producers and directors and people that I worked with over this past weekend. I joke with them, but there's a lot of 20-year-olds that I worked with. There was a lot of 23-year-olds and 24-year-olds that I worked with. Down to one person, I'm not going to name her because you can't call somebody out. She told us willingly how old she was. She's 30, right? So I'm working with a lot of young folks. And then I joke, it's like, yeah, I'm old. But I'm joking. But in reality, I am 29. Next year, I'll be 30, right? Even to this day, well, not as much because I started stretching, Tai Chi, working out. It is. But I would get up to stretch and my bones would crack and crinkle. You hear it. You got to stretch it out and you just kind of have, just like, that grunt when you get up in the morning. Sometimes I do that. I do that sometimes. I'm getting a tad bit older, right? So that's why it is so important for me to stay limber and to stay fresh. When I did Tai Chi, ooh, excuse me, I'm extenuating my arms. As you see, I'm getting swole. Right, I'm extenuating and stretching and flexing while I'm doing Tai Chi, and it looks good. It makes me look so good. Like I say, a lot of ladies at the gym. Shout out to Crunch Snellville. They've noticed a lot of fitness trainers that work there. They're starting to notice, right? I love that. I really do love it that trainers are starting to acknowledge and to know, like, hey, Kennedy, you look really, really good, right? You look fine. You look fine as fuck. Like you look really good. So that's why I'm starting to do Tai Chi at the end of my workout. I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good for me. I do encourage people to go try it. Try it. And if you just genuinely don't like it, don't do it. But I have a feeling you might like it. Tai Chi is something I'm going to start doing at the gym. I'm going to start doing at my house. I definitely will be doing Tai Chi in Punta Cana. That's going to be cool. At the beach is where I'm going to do Tai Chi when we have a free day because we're going the whole week of next week. One day that we're at the beach, I said, okay, guys, I need to go do my Tai Chi real quick. I'll be right over there at the beach. I think that's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be cool to do. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to my topics of conversations here today on the podcast as well. And the first talk about we're gonna do, guys, is WWE Raw. I love it. Love WWE. Guys, if you guys want to know my full review on SmackDown, again, I did do a full review on SmackDown on the Bro Code podcast from yesterday's episode. Again, go check that show out. Me, Terry, and Jackson, we cut it up in that show. So let's talk about it. It was the June 16th WWE Raw event. Of course, they were in, let's see, where were they at? They were somewhere. Let's see where they were at. I kind of forgot where they were at. Green Bay. Green Bay, Wisconsin was where they were at last night. Very, very cool to see. Of course, here's the headlines. You had Bailey addresses Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan versus Kyrie Sane ish. We'll get to it. Sheamus versus Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso versus Rusev. Ivy Now versus Asuka for her return match versus Raquel Rodriguez and Stephanie Vaquer. Live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a couple of weeks before the June 28th Night of Champions after the Money in the Bank thing that was going on. Very, very stoic to see the least, of course. Liv Morgan, she wants her title shot from Io Sky. Io Sky said, hey, I'm not just gonna hand it to you. You have to earn this. Now, very good for Wisconsin at the center because they sold out. Or so they say. They sold out. Of course, they did a segment. They gave the segment a C. Corey Graves. Corey Graves returns, filling in the spot for Pat McAfee. Obviously, Pat McAfee's back in this show because it is closer to the finals, closer to the fifth and sixth game of the Oklahoma City Thunders and the Pacers. So it's very fitting. Pat has to feel the obligation with ESPN to talk about the finals with the Pat McAfee show. So Corey Graves fills in that spot. I think Corey Graves, again, I'm just picking on Corey Graves for a bit because he's a fantastic commentator. I think he did kind of, and I'm glad he didn't get let go because honestly, when he had a problem with Pat McAfee and had a problem with him being not on the main roster, I mean, NXT is kind of still the main roster in my eyes because NXT is a hit show. But Corey Graves used to be on Monday Night Raw, but of course some things have shifted. Pat McAfee comes in and takes the spot, and Corey Graves went to Twitter. Pat McAfee went to Twitter. And Corey Graves, I've said this in previous podcasts, you got to be careful. You can't shit where you eat, right? It's business. It's nothing. WWE shifted Corey Graves to NXT, not because it was personal reasons, because Corey Graves is good at what he does as a sports analyst, as a broadcaster, and as a commentator. But you can't shit where you eat, right? And I felt bad because when Corey Graves went to Twitter and then he definitely went to NXT, it's like you almost got fired. They could fire you for anything like that, right? You got to think it's business. Pat McAfee is a big scorer. He is. He's a big scorer. He's good on the mic. He's funny as hell on Monday Night Raw. I love him in his own show, the Pat McAfee show. You got to be careful. So I'm glad that Corey Graves was able to fill in for Raw to get you more screen time. You just got to be careful. You can't shit where you eat, Corey Graves. And I could tell he was on his best behavior when it come down to it, of course. When it come down to the next match, of course, Ivy Now Stephanie Vakir, Raquel Rodriguez, and Asuka. I knew Asuka was going to win because this was her return match. She hasn't been in the ring since 2023, so that's over a year and a half ago, right? So it feels good to see her back, healthy. Her knee injury is healthy. She got the brace on, but the knee injury is ready to go. I'm a big Asuka fan. I think she's very, very talented in this sport because she knows the ins and outs of wrestling. In my opinion, very, very dope to see kind of a new thing going on again. Ivy Now, you want to root for Ivy Now sometimes, but I don't know. Ivy Now is a mystery. I'll say that she is such a mystery to me. Raquel Rodriguez, yeah, I wouldn't root for her because, of course, she cost Rhea Ripley at the her qualifying Queen of the Ring matchup tournament. So now Rhea Ripley makes her appearance last night, and of course beats up Raquel Rodriguez because of payback. I'm kind of glad that Stephanie Vaquera didn't win. Now, I'm a big fan of her. I like the newcomer. I like how she's able to be a part of everything. But the one thing I don't want them to do is I don't want them to overuse Stephanie Vaquer, right? She's been in AAA, Collide event. She was at Money in the Bank, NXT, and she's dope at what she does. But let's not overuse Stephanie Vaquer in everything, right? If we go back Money in the Bank, she did had a match there. She had a match at AAA Collide, NXT. She was on SmackDown the day before Money in the Bank, right? So let's not overuse her. Let's give her some moments there. Very, very good. The Devil's Kiss, her move, the famous move that Booker T loses his shit over. She did it on the apron. Very, very cool to see. The running kick now hit the La Parera in the corner, was nasty looking. Very, very good when it comes down to it. Asuka does defeat all three of the ladies that graded this match to be. Like I say, I'm really glad to see Asuka back doing her thing. She is quite amazing at what she does when it comes down to it. Another thing that happened, Gunther is next. Now, if you guys remember a couple of months back, and I remember it because it was right here in Atlanta. It was at the Bad Blood event where we saw Bill Goldberg pass us. You know, it was really cool to see him kind of in person. There was a smirk moment between Gunther and Goldberg in Atlanta at the Bad Blood pay-per-view a couple months back, right? So there's been speculations. There's been on Twitter that, hey, Goldberg is in town. Wisconsin, right? Green Bay. Goldberg is in Green Bay. What's he doing here? He's not here for a sporting event. Technically, I mean, it's a sporting event, but he's not here for something else. He's here for Gunther. So when Goldberg came out and Goldberg did his thing, I'm like, oh shit, they about to collide next, right? Now, remember, Goldberg is from Atlanta. Obviously, he has a house here in Atlanta. He was Atlanta Falcon. His family's here. Duh. He came to Bad Blood, obviously so, right in Atlanta. So then when Goldberg started to talk to you, I said, Saturday night's main event is coming to Atlanta July 12th, right? We're still trying to look at tickets for that. Great American Bash and my little brother, they want to go to Evolution in Atlanta, right? It's going to be a 3-night thing here in Atlanta in next month. I said, Goldberg and Gunther is going to Saturday night main event in Atlanta. It's State Farm, down the street from us, State Farm. That's going to be dope. I knew that was coming. I can't wait to see what that looks like. I do think Goldberg could take the belt, right? Let's give Goldberg one last championship run. Just one more last one, right? Before he gets a little older, right? There's so many years that Goldberg can do, right? But I think that's going to work really well for Goldberg. And then try to see who's going to be the one that takes Goldberg out from the championship, because obviously he is a Hall of Famer, right? There's only so many years Goldberg can do this thing wrestling before he gets a little bit older out there, right? So I can't wait to see that happen. Goldberg looks scared. Then the next match, it was JD McDonough versus AJ Styles. Always a good match when AJ Styles come into the limelight of things. Very, very good. Dom tries to help with the distraction, but that didn't work when it came down to it. And of course, Styles did defeat McDonough. JD McDonough does have a giant cranium. I peeped it last night because they kept mentioning his head. And I looked very closely to it. Like, yeah, JD McDonough do have a big head, right? Now, McDonough takes a nasty bump when he jumped over the barricade to take Styles out. In the timekeeper's area, he seen him fine and continue the match, but it looked very, very painful. JD McDonough has to be careful because, that's another thing that happened in Atlanta. It was Monday Night Raw where he jumped off and landed on the commentator's table and punctured his lung, right? So it was great for the WWE went back to using the Styles old theme. The music it tried to keep him recently was terrible in the moments there. The way the Phenomenal One countered into the Styles clash was really cool to see on JD McDonough. That looked very painful. And of course, when it comes down to it, Finn Balor tries to make the distraction. Everybody's making the distraction. Dominic Mysterio comes in, trying to make this distraction. He was going for that 5-arm there. Didn't happen. Styles pick up the Intercontinental Championship and say, hey, I'm next. Very, very cool. I want to see that for AJ Styles too. I want him to be the next champion, right? Because again, our legends, Goldberg, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and so on, John Cena, so on and so forth. People are getting older, right? People are getting very, very older. So now they got to make that one last run. Now, an old rivalry is renewed between Bayley and Becky Lynch. Okay. Bleacher Report gives this segment a C+. I give it a C-, simply because when you're trying to cut a promo, when you're trying to cut that promo, I hate it when superstars, when you cut your promo and you're stumbling over your words, and they both was stumbling over what they're trying to say. And from a creative standpoint, because I'm a kind of a creative with my own movies and stuff, I notice these things. They keep fumbling over their words, Bayley and Becky Lynch, right? And when they fumble over their words and they kind of have a creak in their voice, or not, they trying to sell it, but they sound very unsure. That is what not makes it a good segment, right? You can't stumble your words when you're trying to cut a promo, right? And that's what I kept getting. And then they were just going back and forth, yik-yakking back and forth. And then I looked because I was at the house. I was like, what is this shit? What am I watching? Right? I love to see Bayley back. I really do. She looks different. She got some melons, I remember when she first came out, she was a skinny old thing, right? But now she got some melons. I'm still laughing at the fact that Nia Jax always called her BBL Bayley. That, to me, that was the funniest thing. And I hope Bayley didn't get a BBL, because honestly, I'll say it here on the podcast, BBLs are freaking disgusting. I can't stand it. I don't understand it. I get it. It's your body. You do whatever you want to with your body. But I've seen ladies with the BBLs, and it looks so deformed. It looks disgusting. It looks gross. Don't care. I know some people might have some hot takes on it. I know some people got some different disagreements, probably going to comment on this podcast. But BBLs are freaking disgusting. Of course, Lynch came out wearing Chicago Bears gear. Obviously, that's the Green Bay, Wisconsin was not happy about it. Obviously, those were Packers, Green Bay Packers, and the Chicago Bears are rivals, right? So, of course, they're not happy about it. Big time rivals. Now, if I had to choose between Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears, I have to go for the Chicago Bears. I've been to Chicago. I had a phenomenal time in Chicago. I love Chicago, so I got to root for Chicago, right? But like I say, they kept fumbling over their words, and I just disagree. Liv Morgan and Kairi Sane, it was like a 10-second match because when the match first began, Liv Morgan, Kairi Sane tried to take a leg down on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan landed on her elbow and shoulder, dislocating the shoulder. I am curious to see if this was a work, or was this part of a serious injury that we didn't anticipate, right? Obviously, in WWE, injuries can happen, right? Injuries do happen. They happen a whole heck of a lot. But I also wonder, was this a work, right? And this is what WWE does, right? If it is a work, we can't tell, because it looked from the camera angle and the replays they kept doing, it looked very, very, very painful. Now, of course, there's no result because Kairi Sane won by forfeit because they had to forfeit that match out for Liv Morgan. If it is part of the story, then I think Liv Morgan is going to have surgery on that shoulder, and she might have to forfeit her tag team championship. And here's what I think is going on. If it's a work, right? Liv Morgan is hurt now. She has to get surgery on her shoulder. And if she can't compete, because it's the same thing um when Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were tag team champions, Naomi attacks Jade Cargill, and Cargill's out hurt, so she had to forfeit her tag team belt to Naomi, and it became Naomi and Bianca Belair, and that's how that story began, right? So here's what I think is happening with this: is now Liv Morgan is hurt with a shoulder injury. She has to forfeit her tag team championship belt and give that to Roxanne Perez, right? So now you got Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez now as the new tag team championships. But then Liv Morgan is going to come back after this surgery, after her shoulder is fixed, and challenge Io Sky for that championship match. That's what I think is going on in this story. See how good of a wrestling fan I am because I know these stories in and out. So that's the thing that I think is happening within this story and what's going to happen for that. I bet you $10 on it, T. That's what's going on within this story. The main event, yeah, Jey Uso, Rusev, Sheamus, and Bronson Reed. Good match all around. Bleacher Report gives it a B plus as well. When it comes down to it, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes both showed up at the end of the show, which officially made the segment feel a bit too crowded because it was a whole lot. Braun Breaker comes out, shows up, and prevent Uso from hitting the splash on Reed. But Sami Zayn and Penta comes out to fight him. LA Knight comes out as well. It was just a collective of so many superstars that was out in the arena that gave us a good match. But all in all, Jey Uso does the frog splash twice on Bronson Reed, and then that's how Uso defeats all three of them and qualify for the next round of the King of the Ring matchup, because obviously Jey Uso lost his World Heavyweight Championship to Gunther, right? So now Jey Uso has to reclaim what he has lost when it comes down to it. Very, very good Monday Night Raw. Bleacher Report gives it a B minus. It was a good overall good show. I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see what happens with Friday Night SmackDown this Friday. And of course, we'll see if we can talk about it before we close the offices for next week. But guys, Raw on Netflix. It's very, very good. Very, very good show. And speaking of Netflix, as we shifting gears here, Monday Night Raw. So last week, I wanted to talk about this show, but we had a whole lot of segments last week. So I want to talk about it this episode because I have finished the season, of course, season 3 of the hit show on Netflix. And let me tell you, this show is really, really good. I can't express to you guys how good of a show this is. Now, this show is called Ginny and Georgia. If you guys remember a lot of podcast episodes before, I've talked about season 1 and season 2. And this, I got to say, Ginny and Georgia is one of the shows that I call it the lucky show. The reason why that being is simply because with Netflix, if you got a good show, you're going to get renewed. If you got a bad show, if you made one season and that season's not good, Netflix will cancel you and no questions asked. Netflix sometimes does it too, to where, hey, you might have a great show, great season 1, but Netflix is still going to cancel you because you didn't hit the number that they needed, right? So I'm glad that Ginny and Georgia gets season 3, right? I'll have to confirm to you guys if Ginny and Georgia gets season 4. I don't know. I think this is right. I don't know. Now, Ginny and Georgia is about this family that traveled. Georgia Miller, played by Brienne Howie, she is a good mom, good intentions, right? But she's crazy too. It's kind of like an origin story because the younger Georgia Miller that's playing Nikki Ramone, she plays the younger Georgia Miller. They're going through her lifespan of her being a teenager, and then she had kids young, then she got married to some of the guys, right? You got Nathan Mitchell, who plays Zion Miller. That's Jenny's daddy. And then you had Austin's dad. Let me see, because I have the list of actors and whatnot here in front of my face here. I don't know Austin's full name, but his daddy, I'm trying to get they don't have everybody listed here, but the daddy, Austin's daddy, is another dad that Georgia Miller got together, got married, and of course, obviously had Austin. And that daddy is abusive, right? He's been through some stuff. He abused Georgia when she was younger, and now everything's turned to creep up on it. Meanwhile, as Georgia Miller shifted these different states and moved around a lot, she meets Joe, right? Joe Raymond Allback plays Joe, and it's like a love triangle. Like she had it to where you had Joe, Zion, and Austin's dad, Gil. They're all doing their own thing. There's like a love triangle. Georgia had run-ins to all three of these gentlemen, right? Scott Porter, shout out to Scott Porter. I know because he's a gamer, right? He's such a gamer, so it's really cool to see Scott Porter doing his thing when it comes down to that, to say the least, because it is just one of those things that you just really look forward to. You look forward to a lot of these things where Scott Porter get to do some really dope things in the acting world, and it feels really, really amazing that he's doing his thing when it comes down to it. So yeah, Scott Porter is a gamer, and he's a good, tremendous actor when it comes down to it. Now he plays obviously Mayor Paul Randolph, and this goof, I say goof in a funny way. He's such a good guy. The character is such a good guy, but he just don't know, right? And he's sticking to Georgia through thick and thin. Now, obviously, in last season, Georgia and Paul, they were getting married in the last season, right? But then Georgia got arrested because of the murder of Cynthia's husband, right? Cynthia Fuller is one of the characters, and then Tom Fuller is her husband that is sick. I think that died or was dying from cancer. So Georgia just did Cynthia a favor to relieve, because Cynthia Fuller, with the medical bills and taking care of her son without the daddy, it's expensive, right? So Georgia Miller said, "Hey, I'll help you. I'll just kill him by suffocating him with a pillow, and you ain't got to really carry that medical burden, right?" But of course, things they find out. Of course, Georgia get charged with that. And that's how she ended up going to jail. And then a whole bunch of secrets are coming out with the other guy that she was dating named Kenny. And Kenny didn't have any kids with Georgia Miller. But let me tell you, Kenny, he liked him young, right? Because he was messing around with Jenny Miller. Now, Jenny plays Antonia Gentry. Fun fact about her, I had no idea she was from Atlanta, right? Because as I was doing my research for the podcast for my analyst, she went to Emory, right? So I had no idea she was from Atlanta. So Jenny Miller, being Jenny Miller, right, the character, Kenny liked him, right? He was I don't know if it was like a pedophile or not, because she's young and he's an old man. So, but Georgia protecting Jenny because that's her daughter. She poisons Kenny's smoothie and kills Kenny in the first season, right? So all of these things are coming out. The Madam Mayor murder mysteries. You know, she's killing people in town. You know, we don't trust her. And now she's on trial. She's on house arrest, so she couldn't go anywhere. And Jenny is going through a lot, right? You know, I got to say, Jenny, Marcus, Maxine, Abby, Nora, people are going through some stuff, right? People are going through a whole heck of a lot of stuff when it comes down to it. Teenagers are teenagers. They're going through a whole lot. I got to say, Marcus is going through a lot because in this season, Marcus doesn't know anything about his true feelings, right? Marcus doesn't know that he really loves Jenny, but, you know, he's kind of like too cool for school. He's saying bunk school. He's drinking a lot as a young kid because he's underage, so he's become kind of a alcoholic, if you will. Abby in this season is best friends with the whole group, but Abby likes this guy who's kind of a douchebag, but she kind of likes it. And Abby's she eats, but then she throw her up, kind of like maybe like anorexic, right? So she's throwing up her food for in anorexia. I guess I don't know if it's a disease or not, but it's just something that people can catch because they feel self-conscious about their body. That could be that case. Typical teenage stuff. Then you got Maxine Baker. She played Sarah Rosclass plays her. Maxine Maxine is like the leader of the group, right? She likes the attention, right? She likes all eyes on her. She's an actor, right? So she's an actress, but she's an actor. They did this big play in this season, and she had to really go out there. And then she kind of felt left out, right? Because you had Jenny, Abby, and Nora doing their own things, especially Jenny and Abby. They're doing their own thing without Maxine, and Maxine feels a little jealous. Maxine's like, "Hey, why are you guys leaving me out?" They say, "We're leaving you out because you're a little bit too much," right? So that's breaking apart. You've got Ellen Baker, the mama, Jennifer Robertson. Ellen Baker, she's the mama. You know, she's very self-conscious for Marcus and Max. You know, the daddy. I like the daddy. The daddy is deaf, so he does American Sign Language as the character. Really, really dope character. I love to see it. Love to see that happen for sure. All of this stuff is going down when it comes down to it. And as the story progresses, you know, Jenny is going through a lot of stuff between Marcus. Then she goes to a poem class, I guess, poem class that meets this guy named Wolf. Now, Wolf is a guy which I don't see him on our cast list, but Wolf is another guy that was in the poem class that Jenny had a thing with. But get this, y'all. They had a thing. They was on top of a machine and then she got pregnant. She got pregnant. She had an abortion, right? And that kind of hit home because we all know about the abortion things that are going down in the real world, right? So they kind of touch on real world topics. Jenny ended up getting an abortion to get rid of the fetus that's inside her body because she did get pregnant. And that's pretty much the basis of the show. Joe, let me tell you, Joe's getting more confident, right? There's a scene in the show, in the episode, that Mayor Paul breaks off the wedding and say, "I don't think I'm gonna marry you. I don't love you anymore." He goes to stay with his parents, and George is stuck at the house because obviously she's on house arrest. Joe comes over, which was weird because somehow the sprinklers was on. He came in all wet. I'm like, okay, what is going on? And then George is sad, and Joe took advantage of that vulnerable moment. He takes his shirt off. He's like, "Damn, I'm wet. I take this." And Joe looking swole and buff, and George is like, "Oh shit, Joe, like I didn't know you rocking like that." And they end up having a moment, right? Very, very twisted how that moment happened, but it's really, really funny to see that happen. Um, and then you had the teacher, Mr. Gittin. Not a fan of Mr. Gittin because he's racist. I think, well, the actual person's not racist. The character is racist. I don't think he really mess with black people. I really don't. So as we continue on to the story and continue on to it, this show is really good. Now, let's see. Abby had a thing with somebody, with a girl. Is it Noah Lamana? Is that the person or no? That may not be the right person, but Abby has a thing with a girl, right? And you know, I don't know, Abby, she's trying to figure out what it is she do. And Abby's going through a lot of stuff too because you know her parents divorced. Abby's daddy finds a girlfriend, and they're moving in too fast, and she gets kind of sad about it. Very, very dope. Ending there for her. I feel bad for Abby because she's going through a lot. I feel bad for all of these young characters in the show because they're going through a whole heck of a lot in this show. And that's pretty much the basis. Now, spoiler alert, Georgia does get excused from the cases, excused from the charges that she has. She's no longer on house arrest. She's no longer on trial. She's no longer in the realms of going to jail, and all things that ends well, or so we thought, because at the end of it, you know, they're Georgia and Jenny, they go together, and they say, she comes in there, she drinks a full thing of milk. Jenny says, "Hey, you normally drink milk like that when you're pregnant. So Georgia might be pregnant for real," right? Because in this season too, she fakes a pregnancy for Paul so that way Paul can help Jenny win this case, right? It was all a lie. Georgia's been lying to Paul a lot. So that's pretty much the basis of the season 3 without spoiling everything. it is binge worthy. It is available on Netflix to stream right now. Not a sponsor really, but this show is really, really good. I can't wait to see what happens next with Jenny and Georgia. I can't wait to see what happens next with Marcus, right? Marcus gets caught on being sort of a alcoholic, depression and all of that. Max tells on him, and Max is a snitch because I don't know. I wouldn't snitch out my brothers and sisters, even though they done wrong. I'd never snitch, but she snitched, and now Marcus has to go to rehab, and we'll see what happens when he leaves rehab. Right, it's going to be season 4, hopefully, when he leaves rehab, and see how the story will progress and see how things will change. Like I say, Jenny and Georgia, 3 seasons. It's a good show. It's really, really good. It's funny. There's a lot of moments in there. It's a lot of real life situations that they're applying to the show. So it's really, really dope to see. I got to say congratulations to all the cast members because they're doing the damn thing. They doing it. All right. So next is the main event of the podcast. And I was supposed to. There's a lot of things I was supposed to do with Summer Game Fest, and I got wrapped up with a lot of stuff, y'all. Right? We were filming a movie. Lucas Brothers Pictures is on its way out to streaming services soon. Very, very blessed to finish that movie. And then you had Battle of Atlanta and other things going on, and I couldn't really give you guys. Like last year, I did the Podcadia World Series. We talked about Summer Game Fest last year, and I just couldn't get to it this year. Just couldn't. But I want to talk briefly about Summer Games Fest. Obviously, Summer Games Fest is the show that happens every year. And I get very, very excited because Summer Games Fest announces newer video games that are out in the medium and that's out ready to go and out ready to rock and to really do its thing to showcase, these games, right? Now, I'm going to go through some of the games, not every game, because every game I just wasn't not in tune with, but some of the games that we're getting, I'm very excited for. Towards the end of the Summer Game Fest, I know I'm going to kind of go everywhere. We did see a teaser trailer for Resident Evil Requiem, and that is code name for Resident Evil 9. I haven't been too much into the Resident Evil games as much. Like my favorite one is Resident Evil 6, and then there's 5. I played 4 a very long time ago. I haven't played 7, 8, right? Because I'm not a big fan of the first-person scary video games. I don't like horror games. I get spooked, right? Resident Evil, we saw it is available for Meta. I don't think I will ever buy that because Meta, you're in virtual reality, and that's just gonna freak me out. But I'm excited. I'm glad that Resident Evil, they're still doing their thing. I hope they bring back some of the characters that we know and love, along with newer characters. I can't wait to see what that looks like. We did see a glimpse of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Game's going to be dope. I'm going to be using the air gear as much, right, than the carts. It's smart that we didn't get this game released this summer. It's so smart. Again, you're in competition with Mario Kart World, right? Sega's playing it safe. They say, okay, you take June and July, Nintendo and Mario. We'll take September, right? Sonic Racing Cross World does come out in September 25th. I'm debating now. I'm debating if I want it for PS5 or Nintendo Switch 2, right? I'm debating on those two, but I'm excited for. I might just get it for Nintendo Switch 2 because I can do handheld. This will be a game that I probably will buy and test out. I could see my little brother will want to play this in September. We all prefer Mario Kart because we grew up more with Mario Kart than we did a Sonic racing game. But I really like the idea of the air gear, like the Sonic Riders sequence. I think that's going to be dope to see how that looks. I was able to be a part of the testing. They sent a demo beta to select few people, and I was one of those people that played the demo, and it was okay, but there was a lot of work they needed to fix up on. So I hope they do that before September hits, because again, this game might be looking at a $60-$70 price tag, right? And you're in competition with Mario Kart World. So what makes you different from the other competitor? That's what I say. So skipping down, of course, we got Marvel Cosmic Invasion that looked very, Very, very dope to see, to say the least. They gave us a little bit more with Mafia: The Old Country. Really, really cool to see. I love Mafia. This might be a pickup for me in August because it's the next iteration of Mafia. I played all the Mafia games. I enjoyed all of them. But I'm excited for this one the most because it has a little bit of some culture, right? It has the 60 frames per second and the 100 frames, or excuse me, 60 frames per second, high dynamic range on PlayStation 5. So that's gonna really, really look good for that as well. Skipping down to Deadpool VR. Oh, buddy, it's coming to MetaQuest. Let me tell you, I wish we had more Marvel and DC games for the Meta. Of course, I do have the MetaQuest 3S because I wanted to play the Batman Arkham Shadows game. Still playing on the game. That game is tremendously fun. I played that one. I played Iron Man VR, which was fantastic. I love the Iron Man VR game. It's so dope. So just imagine Deadpool VR. That's coming. I'm so ecstatic about that. That game I definitely will be picking up for the MetaQuest to see how that looks. That's gonna look awesome. It's gonna look so dope. Hopefully that doesn't give me a motion sickness because some games in VR they do give me motion sickness. Not a whole lot, but some of them do. Right? I bought this one Star Wars game that just I thought that would be a good contender, but it made me sick, and I couldn't do it. Mixtape. We got more information about mixtape. I think that will be mixtape looks kind of fun because you had A24 film studio that's a part of that one, and that one looks pretty decent. You've got they showed Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye got a 2 out of 10. That game sucks. I saw other people playing because it recently came out. I will not be getting that game. It's not worth $60 to waste money on a piece of shit game like that. To build a Rocket Boy needed more time on that game. Let's say that. 007. 007 First Light. I'm interested. I think it's smart that you're playing James Bond at the early beginnings before he becomes an agent, which is smart because there's going to be 007 First Light and IO Interactive. They're going to make another 007 game while he's an actual agent. That's going to be part 2, right? Really, really dope about this one because these are the brains behind Hitman, right? I love James Bond. I played a lot of James Bond games back in the day. Especially, I played a lot of James Bond games in the PlayStation 3 days, right? I'm very interested to see what this looks like. I can't wait to see this game comes out. I think we got a little while to wait for this game, but First Light 007, that's going to be an amazing game. It's going to be very, very awesome, to say the least, to say that this game is going to be really, really, really dope, to say the least, when it comes down to it, because it's going to be just something, a new spinoff, a new thing, a new idea. And that's going to be really, 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 really cool to see. 007, James Bond, they're going to have a game coming out. And I just can't wait for it. And I'm skipping through some of these games because some of these games I saw, not really interested into it. It's a lot of horror games. There's a lot of From Software, Elden Ring type games. I'm just not interested at the moment. There was this one game that I'll leave off with. It was a new Marvel game that they're doing. And let me see if I can get this up real quick. And it was a Marvel game. I forgot what they were calling it. Marvel. Let's see. I can't remember. It was a new Marvel game with one of the big studios that did it. I'll have to come back to you guys on that one because they announced it and it looks really, really good because it was kind of giving you more of an anime type feel to the game, which was kind of dope. Really, really kind of nice to see. I would have loved to see more of Kingdom Hearts 4. We probably ain't going to get Kingdom Hearts 4 announcement until like next year, maybe, because they're still working on it. They're still cooking up on it. So, like I say, Summer Games Fest was pretty decent for the most part. You know, I skip around some of the games that are out there because Some of the games I just can't really get so much into, but I think we've got a good variety for what we need. I think the highlight of it all is, or at least my highlight was 007. That was a highlight. The Marvel game, that was a highlight. And Deadpool VR, that was a highlight for me too, because I love VR. I love the way VR games do it. And that's going to be really, really dope to see how that VR mechanic works for the MetaQuest. Very, very dope to say the least. So guys, if you guys stay tuned for Summer Games Fest, it's out there. We hope y'all enjoy it. It's a good time for gamers, right? Good time for gamers. Meanwhile, we're playing on our Nintendo Switch 2, and that's just what we're doing right now. So that's going to wrap it up here on our podcast here today, K.L.P. Aftermath Podcast. Guys, stay tuned for What Happened Was Podcast. A new episode coming tomorrow and possibly Thursday as well as we get ready. I do got to say, June, again, I said at the beginning, June 21st through the 28th, K.L.P. Entertainment will be closed for the week because we are going on vacation. So if you're looking for podcasting or social media for our shows, it won't happen next week because we're not going to be here. We won't even be in the country, right? So we're going to be on vacation, so we'll be bringing it back in the start of July. That's going to wrap it up here in our special podcast here today, K.L.P. Aftermath, presented by Our Heart Media. Again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch y'all in the next episode of the podcast. Until then, I've been your humble, gracious, highly favorite host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas. So long, stay safe, stay swanky.
93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. It's K.L.P. Aftermath. Morning with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.